Microsoft's been getting themselves into a lot of hot water recently, I think understandably so to an extent. And that's not me trying to sound like an Xbox fanboy or some Xbox defender, I just think we need to be careful when criticizing companies who set trends in the industry, because if we're criticizing them for things that aren't actually happening, it not only shifts the focus of the industry to something that doesn't matter, but it also means other companies doing shitty things get away with it scot-free. Now, I'll extend an olive branch to those of you angry at Microsoft. I am also angry at Microsoft after all the layoffs, after the cancellation of Perfect Dark. I think the way Microsoft handled that entire situation is entirely bass-ackwards. In before, well, they should have canceled the game because the game was mismanaged, and if it's mismanaged and they can't meet expectations, then it should be shut down. Yeah, no, I agree. Mismanaged, over-budget projects should be course-corrected or canceled. Preferably before they're in development for 5 years, publicly at least, and preferably before they are used as a gigantic piece of marketing 1 year ago. That's my issue. My issue is not the fact that they shut down a scatterbrained, unfocused project. My issue is that they shut down a project that they've been marketing for 5 years, and only just now told us that it wasn't coming, after they told us last year that it was coming. I am telling you all this because I am no friend of Microsoft. But out of the 3 console manufacturers right now, I find them to be the least offensive, which is why it bugs me when companies like Sony and Nintendo get away with whatever nonsense they're pulling on a mainstream level. Meanwhile, the news cycle over the last 24 hours has been completely dominated by this report that Xbox Game Pass is only profitable if you don't factor in game development. This story somehow got so much traction, and you're going to see in a if you're already wanting to comment like, Joe, why are you so mad at it? You're just mad because they're criticizing Xbox. Stick around. You're gonna be annoyed at this too, because this story takes a turn that just highlights why I hate game journalism so much. Spoiler alert, this initial report isn't real. But okay, yesterday there were reports going all around that Game Pass is only profitable if you don't include the costs of the first-party game development. Which, first of all, if that were the case, if Microsoft really was not making a profit off of their core business model, and they had this giant glaring problem, this giant glaring red mark on their Excel sheet, do you really think they would keep doing it for this long? Do you really think Microsoft would keep putting money into a project that literally is not working for years on end? You really think that's what's happening here? Also, bigger question though, Xbox Game Pass, it's only profitable if you don't count game development as a Game Pass expense. Quick question, why would you count that as an expense? Like, really think about this for a second. We're gonna get into the problems with this in a minute, but really think about this for a second. The big headline is that Game Pass is only profitable if you don't count game development into the expenses of Game Pass. The expenses of Game Pass are only covered by the revenue of Game Pass if the expenses don't count first-party game development. But again, ask yourself, why would game development be part of Game Pass's expenses? The games are not released exclusively on Game Pass, and Game Pass's revenue is not responsible for making up the game development costs, because the game development costs are made up in other ways. They are sold at full price on multiple platforms from day one. Why would their development be put into the budget of Game Pass? That makes no sense. And yet this story was just everywhere. From Genki, Microsoft have reportedly admitted that their Game Pass's profitable statement does not include first-party studio lost revenue as a result of service or first-party studio development costs. My goodness, what big news that is. This one product isn't considered profitable because we're throwing in expenses of a different product in there? I mean, this other product, the expenses of that other product are, those expenses are recouped by selling copies on PC, on PlayStation, on Xbox. But no. We have to ignore those. The revenue made from the games is put into a different pot, while the development costs of that same game is put into the Game Pass pot. Look me in the eyeballs. This makes no sense. And yet the PlayStation fanboys were just running with this. YMNIS says, so Game Pass is profitable if you ignore the expensive part. 194 people saw that and were like, yeah. Fucking got 'em. The upkeep costs of Game Pass are recouped by the revenue of Game Pass, but we gotta throw in the development costs of games into the upkeep costs of Game Pass, but not count the revenue of the games, and we're somehow like... Do you understand why I'm so annoyed right now? This story should never have been published. It on its face makes no sense. The Red Dragon says, wow, I told you Xbox was cooking the numbers. Journalist admits that Microsoft told him. Oh, so originally it was Microsoft admitted. Now it's journalist admits that Microsoft admits. Interesting. Microsoft told him that when they claim Game Pass is profitable, they are not including any first-party costs. Tools like Tom Moore and Paul Tassi and Jez Corden are all useful idiots. All they do is lie. Oh, my goodness. All they do is lie. All they do is lie because Microsoft, Game Pass is only profitable if you don't count the expenses of an entirely different product. Like, yeah, man, I spend X amount of money on equipment for this YouTube channel, for Joe from Seattle. I make ad revenue from Joe from Seattle, and the ad revenue overcomes the expenses that I put into the gear for making videos. But actually, my channel's not profitable because I did buy a car last year. And the car was more expensive than the revenue from the channel. I actually don't know if that's true. I'm just throwing out words right now so you can see my point of how fucking dumb this is. Who cares about the car? That's an entirely different transaction. MBG says Microsoft not counting the cost of their first-party expenses when it comes to Game Pass so they can claim it's profitable is literal proof the model is unsustainable and dangerous. It's not just unsustainable, which is why Microsoft continues to do it, because, the bean counters at Microsoft would totally continue pouring money into something unsustainable. That's absolutely something Microsoft would do. But also it's dangerous. Game Pass is dangerous, okay? Which is why it's extra funny when this morning an update to the story was released saying that it's now been clarified that Xbox Game Pass is profitable even when factoring in lost sales for first-party studios. So this whole thing, this whole story, this whole thing was not real. Not only did this story make no sense on its face and everyone just ran with it, because see previous point about how people are a little too eager to throw stones at Microsoft while ignoring everyone else right now, the AAA industry is collapsing from all angles, but let's continue to throw stones at the story that on its face doesn't make sense. But then, after all that yelling, after all that crying, after all that peeing your pants, the story wasn't even real. The scenario that you were running with that didn't make sense, even if it did make sense, it's not even real. Because even if you do want to factor those costs into the Game Pass upkeep expenses, the service is still profitable. Wasn't that fun? Didn't you have fun? And are any of these people going to take back what they said? Are people now going to spread this story around? I'll give you two options here. We're going to get into the title of the video now, okay? This is why I started putting chapters on my YouTube videos, because sometimes I just fucking ramble for like 10 minutes before I get to the point of the video. So now we're going to get into the point of the video, because all these people who were taking the journalist report super hardcore seriously when they said Game Pass was not profitable, these same people are now going to turn around and not trust this report from the same journalist. This same journalist who said who said Game Pass is not profitable, he came out and put out a correction to his story because he saw people running with it in the wrong way. He offers a correction to his story and clarifies, yes, it is profitable. I was wrong about that. Here's the real story. And the people who were running with the initial story, who trusted him wholeheartedly, are now going to turn around and say, actually, he's wrong. Actually, Game Pass is not profitable. The same person who said it's not profitable is now saying, hey, I was wrong, it is profitable. And these people are going to stop thinking at the 50% mark, trust the initial story, and distrust the new story, even though the new story and the initial story from the exact same person and the exact same person who gave you both stories is telling you the new story is the correct one. You're not going to believe him, you're going to take the initial story that he said is not real. Do you understand why I'm so annoyed right now? Do you understand me? Let's begin. Spiggy quote tweets the news and says, notice how they didn't factor development costs into this, lol. God, like when is it gonna be enough? When's it gonna be enough? So the story goes viral because journalist says that as long as you don't count development costs, Game Pass is profitable. People freak out. He releases a clarification that Game Pass is still profitable, even when you factor in any potential losses from game sales. So like, Game Pass as a service is making up its development costs and turning enough of a profit that potential losses on sales are also made up for, and your reaction to that is, well, they didn't factor in development costs. My boy, see my above point about why would development costs be in here to begin with? Why do you people insist on Game Pass revenue being the one and only revenue source and developing budget that Microsoft is allowed to have? Do you guys realize what you're doing here? Do you guys notice that, PlayStation fanboys and the people doing this? It's like, if Microsoft cannot cover literally all of their expenses with Game Pass is a failure. Now here you are reading that Game Pass not only makes up its own costs, it makes up its own, it makes up for its own upkeep financially, and now there's a report that's coming out that it makes so much of a profit that it makes up for potential lost sales, and the initial person who came out and told you it wasn't profitable is going back on his report to clarify, yes, it is profitable, please stop using my report in the console war because you don't understand what I said. And your response to that is, yeah, well, why aren't they paying for game development out of that budget as well? Why would they do that? Why is Microsoft only allowed to pay for things if it comes out of the Game Pass revenue? Why is that how the world would work? Peter Ovo says nobody believes that, just more lies from Xbox management. Didn't Peter Ovo used to be an Xbox fanboy? Didn't he used to be like the Xbox equivalent of J-Dub? Am I going crazy? I swear he used to be on the Xbox side. But also, again, journalist says thing. You're like, yeah, he's right. Journalist says different thing. You're like, nah, he's lying. Is he a reputable source or not? You can't just pick and choose like this. PS5 Bro says, it only costs me $400 a month to own and operate my car as long as I don't include insurance, gas, tolls, oil changes. That's not a good equivalent. That's not a good equivalent. I'll give you a better equivalent since you people don't understand this. Let's say you're running a convenience store, okay? You own a 7-Eleven. Congratulations, I handed you the deed to a fucking 7-Eleven. And your store is doing pretty good, right? You're making a profit, everything's in the green. The money that you buy bringing product in to stock the shelves is offset by the money that you are bringing in from customers to buy the things on said shelves. Everything's in the green, you're doing great, good job. But then you decide to open a valet service in your parking lot. Again, just fucking go with me on this, okay? Just go with me. You're offering a separate product under the umbrella of your initial product, okay? Congratulations, your 7-Eleven has a fucking valet service. Let's say it costs you, theoretically, $1,000 to pay someone to run the valet service, and you're making $1,500 on the valet service. Great, your store is profitable, and the valet service is profitable. Both independent things are paying for each other. But then, someone starts coming into your store and being like, wow, this store is really not profitable, right? I mean, the valet service's revenue does not offset the operations of the valet service and also the cost of stocking the shelves. The whole thing must be unprofitable. That is the argument you are making right now. You are saying the revenue generated by Game Pass, which is in the green, and the revenue generated by games, which are presumably in the green, but according to this report, even if they aren't in the green, the potential red is offset by the profit of Game Pass. Two independent profitable things. But you are taking the budget of the two profitable things, putting them into one budget while keeping the revenue separate and using that as an argument to say the whole thing is in the red. This is not how business works. Why would the development costs of first-party games be put into the budget of Game Pass to be recouped by Game Pass and nothing else? That makes no sense. Reforged Gaming says the original Hang on, this is a full interaction. I love this interaction. Reforged Gaming says the original statement was about first-party costs not being included. Clarifying about lost sales feels like a red herring. Salicious says the man himself came out and said the narrative you guys are trying to push based on something he said was wrong, and now you've turned on him like he's gotta be lying. Lamau, you guys can't be saved. And then he gets a response saying, nobody said anything about lost sales until the tweet went viral and he got a call from his boss. So you go from trusting the journalist to not trusting the journalist. And now, not only do you not trust the journalist so hard, you're just making things up to justify his original statement that he took back. Like, how do you not understand how backwards this is? Bobby Journalist says a thing, and you believe Bobby Journalist. But then Bobby Journalist says, listen, you're taking what I said out of context. Here's what I meant, actually. The way you're taking my report is wrong. And then you're like, no, Bobby Journalist, you don't understand what you said. Here's what you meant by what you said. And then when someone points out, hey, what you're doing right now is fucking dumb and doesn't make sense, you're like, oh yeah, well, I heard through the grapevine that Bobby Journalist got a call from his boss to change the story. Fucking what? What? Harry Stark 96 says, let's see raw data. You didn't need raw data 5 minutes ago. You were perfectly fine with this report from a journalist. When that same journalist comes out and gives a different report, now you need to see raw data. Oh my god, you people are pathetic. Ben Riley says, then why close studios and laying off of thousands of people? First of all, that's not English. Second of all, those two things aren't connected. Third of all, I'm not defending Microsoft here, okay? The layoffs were despicable. They were a result of Microsoft overhiring and overreaching. A lot of tech companies have been doing this, and all of it was bad. But that being said, see previous point about why do you people act like Microsoft's entire budget has to come from Game Pass and nowhere else? Because that's what you're arguing right now. They're saying, well, Game Pass is profitable. You're saying, oh yeah, well, why'd you lay off thousands of people? As if the profit of Game Pass was going to save those jobs? Like, huh? Have you ever considered that maybe Microsoft is a much bigger company than just Game Pass? And again, that's not me defending the layoffs. That's not me defending Microsoft in any way. That's me pointing out to you that you have no idea how this works. Stop talking about it. Yo, it's Cinematic Flow says, where were games? And I don't mean third-party games. This is not correct and it doesn't work like that. Oh, it doesn't work like that. The cost of putting third-party games on Game Pass, the cost of paying the developers and the publishers to get their games on Game Pass, putting that money in the operational cost of Game Pass doesn't work like that. Oh, then how does it work to you? Are those publishers just putting their games on Game Pass out of the goodness of their heart? Because I promise you that's not what's happening. Like, now we're just... originally, we were putting in an unrelated cost into the expenses of the service. Now we're just breezing past the actual expenses of the service. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Why do you want this to fail so bad? It doesn't make sense to me. Okay, one more. Kevlar says, not sure about that. If it was truly profitable, there wouldn't be 15,000 layoffs across Xbox this year, and games wouldn't be released on PlayStation at the same time. Have you ever considered that games are being released on PlayStation to make more money on the first-party games? To make up for the development of the first-party games? Because the first-party games are sold on multiple platforms, and they are not exclusively available through Game Pass. So why would the development of first-party games be put into the upkeep costs and operational costs of Game Pass if Game Pass is not responsible for their success? Can you think at all? Like, you're literally saying the words. Games were being released on PlayStation. Games are being sold for money. And yet you're still referring to Game Pass for oh my goodness, you people, I don't understand what's so wrong with you. And this is why I get so annoyed. It's like there are so many perfectly legitimate ways that you could be criticizing Microsoft. There are so many perfectly legitimate things to criticize them for. And instead you're doing this. Instead, you're focusing on a story that was not only debunked by the person who wrote it, because you were all taking it out of context, but also, it so does not matter. And you are so not understanding it, even if it did matter. Like, it's so easy to criticize Microsoft right now. It's so easy to do it. It's so easy to hammer Microsoft with things that they actually are doing. And you're just not doing that. Instead, you're doing this and focusing on things that aren't even real And even if they were real, they don't even fucking matter. And you wonder why I make fun of you people. Oh my god. And you know the best part? People are going to call me an Xbox fanboy for this video. People are going to call me an Xbox defender because I'm just pointing out the fact that you people can't read. It's so stupid. Okay, Doofus Club time. Axel, Liam, Molthine, the B-Sims, Evan Co, Really Sir, Gaming with Dead People, Oracle, The Return of the King, but is upside down, Biscuit 1101, Ralph Coaster, Adam Raz 26, Max Killer V2 Gaming, Kyle Ward 789, Nate Blast 1314, Jimmy Chops, Mario may be a cuck, but Harmon can't get a girl, Michael Mizio, Master Killer, Firestorm 2056, Demetrius Papagiorno, Tom Schnorrelaxin, put your fingers in between my toes and squeeze really hard. Ooh! Unknown 186718, Kevdog 1992, Zombie Killer 507E, Official Drag Smash Star, Adam Savage's Golden Anal Probe, Bear Brain at Beyond 504, Grimsy, Edge Knight 1789, my dad left to catch some Pokemon, I'm sure of it. Kushka, Unicorn Rocco, Bender Fondue, Ass Shitter 69 420 Remastered Poopy Edition. Look, listen, appearing offline does not fucking stop it. T-Train, Risinger, Sentinakaga, and Envola, I forgot to change my name. Partial Mean 8, Volksauto, Codman 4372WX, I need a stupid name for Joe to read out loud for everyone to see. Celerock, Gold Pyrock, Alderoth 01, it's Arm, oh my god, it's ear, hang on, I tear my, I did this last time, I tear my ass cheeks open every time you upload. Dog Nixie Smile. Snake Eyes 327, 323, Snake Eyes 327, Devastator 2000, Joe, why would you leave us? We miss you, sexy man. I'm back now. MK2396E, I'm still in the mojo, please get help. Hentai X Machina Gamma, Elite Wolf. Ooh, Fire Hazard 105, Klepto Penguin, GWXSS. I sounded like the fucking rabbits in the Wallace and Gromit movie there. I did not sound like a wolf even a little bit. I just sounded like the little rabbits. Woo! I totally forget where I was. I'm just gonna go back to Fire Hazard 105. Wait, hang on. We're just gonna go back up. I'm still in the moat, Joe. Please get help. Hentai X Machina Gamma, Elite, Fire Hazard 105, Klepto Penguin, GWXSS, Ras the Wolf, okay, Toodles, Tech Gaming, Jungle Zone, Slim Jim, All Games Video, Joe has bad game taste, Joe from Anthrocon, I don't know what that is, Chris Void, Pope Rap with the Rat King, Jessica Spile, oh my god, I'm doing it again, Jessica Shepard, Riki Spile, Riki Tiki Tabby, I thought I got over that, Muskie, Autonomic Dog 49, Karumi the Steel Angel, Doug Dimmadome, Doofus of the Doofus Club, Sergeant Jason Bond, Baron Von Vaderham, Cyrus 6771, Don't Call Me Doofus, It Hurts My Feelings, Jutex 940, you haven't helped him out of the moat and you're laughing, Joe. Yes, I am. Get out. You can swim. Get out. The first Doofus, Creed Warrior 23, Max Chev, Chap's going to wait for a while, take care of now, Totally Insane, Black Cobra, The Endwall Slayer, Night of Cyber, MO04, I own 6 copies of Clip 2006 on Blu-ray, why haven't you helped him out of the moat? What is it with you guys in the moat? Nobody cared that he was in the moat for like a month and a half, and now all of a sudden everyone's like, Joe, why aren't you helping him out of the moat? Why don't you help him out of the moat? You were right there. Wolf of Midnight, Stick, Rider, Pig, Venus, Steve Wynn Studios, Phil McCracken, Ohm Gaming, Tariq Brown, Thordsgate, Maganex, Severin Evans, Sonny 3, the guy leaning from Y Mixer, Pow Pow, Why Trouble, Donnie Weston, Nick Donegan, Draws Mex on Twitch, come hang y'all, Gob Gonson, Rogue Waiting 19, Bobby Hinder, Kenny Kitten, Fanny, Hangman for Hire, Elden Noble, Frost Crystal, Biogenesis, Ian in Action, Floppy Pingus 97, Mega Keys, Scruffus Go, Ghost Ho, Ryusagi the Ryusagi, Vasco, Raptor Tim, The Amazing Blight Man, Blue Hook, Film a Tip, I'm Joe from Seattle's Real Father, Jody Breeze, Smitty, Worky, Eggerman Jensen, and the Chillzard named Max Lore, Nick Advertisement, Diego Garcia, JJ Jesse, and my Kimmikins, I American Idiot, Harmon Smith's Other Chin, Found It, Oh No, It's Justin, Randroid, 20 Way, Mechanical Resonance, Extreme Wolf 7, Joey Scoops, Negative Creep, Joe Taku, Poop P, Bang, Cat, Chicken Sucker, Mom Banger, 8008, Wannabe Hobo, Jidge, Westa, Bill at 310 Char, Rob C, Groovy, Veg, The Groovy Banana, Curtin Allen's back, The Scrum Master, Trust Me Bro, Hee Hee Ha Ha. Dude, it just gets worse, you know? I thought, like, maybe, like, after I came back from my vacation, that, like, my mouth would be recharged. Don't take that out of context. And now I just fucking forget what I was gonna say. Shit, okay, toodles.